Hello friends, Nayaswami Raman here. If you're a parent of a young child or even older, even a teenager, how can we give them the message and the experience of happiness? Well, we can't give what we don't have ourselves. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. If we aren't centered within ourselves, if we're not someone who's calm and even-minded under most difficult circumstances, and, I don't need to convince anybody how challenging family life can be, especially when toddlers are running around and screaming and practicing tantrum yoga. There's just so many things in family life that are unnerving. And when parents lose their temper and yell, or hopefully not more than that, but, get angry at their children, well, yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? For us to share and to give to our child or children the gift of happiness, we must earn it ourselves. And happiness comes from what? Ego transcendence. Now, here's the greatest irony of all, in my view, with parenting. A little infant is born and has to learn to speak and to walk and to care for itself in various ways and, be potty trained and then go to school and learn all these things. So what happens in the first many years of life as a child is you're actually developing the ego, whereas happiness can only come from ego transcendence, at least to whatever degree that's possible. And that's what I want to talk about. Because to a child learning to speak the language and to do all these things, ego transcendence is not really what you are going to emphasize. But here's the thing. As we train our children, as we give them care and food and so on, maintaining our own centered, having a kind of impersonal aura. My mother was that way. I was child number 4 out of 5. That's not really a big family by prior generation schedule, measurements. So I don't think it was about the fact that I was number 4 and she was tired of parenting. She was a good parent, but she had that touch of impersonality that I think was a product, at least partly, of her devotion to God and her guru, Jesus Christ. In other words, her priority was that inner relationship with Dharma, with divine will, with devotion, with the sense of practicing the presence. And with that inwardness, with that centeredness, it makes it much easier to relate to our children in that way, not coldly, but impersonally, as befitting the circumstance. If the child falls down and cuts himself and is crying, well, of course you're going to be compassionate and so on. But there are other times that you have to be stern. And you need to be able to show those different faces to your child. I remember Swami Kriyananda saying, in my generation as a parent, it was, sort of the hippie generation and we all wanted to be the best friends of our children. Well, I didn't particularly, but that was kind of the bob of the time, the attitude. And that just doesn't work. I have found that I could be good friends with my children when they became adults, and that's been very rewarding. But as children, they are children. Even if their souls are as old as Methuselah and as old as your soul, in their growth, there are many things they have to learn. And balanced living is one of them. Thinking about others is another. Sharing their toys, learning to eat food that maybe they don't like, but they should be eating because it's healthy. Not pampering them, not catering to their every whim, not constantly asking, do you like it? What do you want? Sometimes that just doesn't really work. Because when those questions, what do you like, what do you want, do you like it, are all questions about a level of happiness that is not true. Okay? A good parent will teach their child by stories and by pointing out what the right attitude should be, not so much lecturing with the intellect, but a parent needs to be centered and have some degree of impersonalness in their relationship with the child, to show them that happiness comes from living in one's own center, by thinking of the needs of others, by doing what is right. Like, think of chores. As children grow older, they should be given chores and responsibilities gradually according to their ability. And so we have to think of preparing them to be an adult, where they will not be the center of attention. Again, that has to be done gradually. An infant is definitely the center of attention for the most part. So is a toddler. But, sleep issues. There are a lot of issues where children's needs have to be sensitively balanced to the parents' needs, yes, but also to what will help them become increasingly independent. Because the whole trajectory of parenting, from the time that infant comes out of the mother's womb, is basically, as they grow, they go further and further afield, out to school, out to their teenage friends, out maybe to college, and eventually they leave. The whole trajectory is one of increasing non-attachment. Okay, best I can do. Thank you.